next few weeks. This is Rabi' al-Awwal, and the habits of the shuyukh and the ulama that have taught me at least have been always to fill this month with either recitation of Shifa al-Qadi Iyad or Shama'il Imam al-Tirmidhi, or some form of some book where you recite and you get to listen or hear the description of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Even though really that's all Islam is at the end. Islam is just one way or the other learning how to emulate the Prophet ﷺ and live like him and be like him. But there's no harm in remembering during this month and next month, focusing a little bit more on just those descriptions, and maybe focusing on descriptions that are maybe less known or less famous. And last year we recited, I think, from every chapter in the book of Ash-Shama'il, one hadith, and this year I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to do something different. I'm just going to choose descriptions of him alayhi salatu wasalam, just make my own choices, specifically ones that are maybe not as famous, but I think are extremely impactful and important for us to reflect upon and think about if we truly want to emulate him alayhi salatu wasalam, be like him. And this hadith here is Aisha radiallahu anha. She says the following, and this is, there's always in my book extra points for when a man is being described by his wife in any way that is not negative. There's always extra points for that. And Aisha radiallahu anha was known to be a very opinionated lady, and she had a very strong personality, and she outlived the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam by a long time. And you know that she has a strong personality because she probably the only lady that we have historically that was a part of a war. Like she was at the front of an army. She moved an army. She wasn't someone who was not docile, who just sat home or accepted kind of whatever she was taught. Whatever it is that she didn't like or didn't agree with, she would voice that out, radiallahu anha. And knowing that most of the positive descriptions of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam come through her, to me is just, it's its own study on its own. It's the fact that she continues to speak of him in a way that I don't think any wife has ever spoken of her husband. Is extremely impressive and beautiful, and tells you what type of man he was, alayhi salatu wasalam, what type of person he was. And she says, لم يكن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فاحشا ولا متفحشا ولا صخابا في الأسواق ولا يجزي بالسيئة ولكن يعفو ويصفح. And this hadith is often narrated but seldom reflected upon or thought about. She said the Prophet ﷺ was not fahish or mutafahhish. The word it comes from fahsha, and fahsha are the sexually related sins. That's what fahsha is, right? And as human beings, we tend to this is a very important part of our existence, sexuality. Whether male or female, we tend to think about it a lot. We tend to bring it into our dialogue a lot. And in many situations, it dictates our choices and our decisions. And when we get upset specifically, that's where, as in Arabic they say, whenever you get upset, you start using phrases that otherwise you would never use, and people around you start looking at you saying, I've never in my life heard you speak like this. What happened? When you lose your temper, or you get into a position where, and the Prophet ﷺ was not like that. He was not fahish, wala mutafahhish. He wasn't someone who generally was like that. He wasn't someone who was generally sexually oriented, thinking about it all the time, talking about it all the time, pointing things out, seeing, I know people in their 60, 65, 70, driving a car. She walks by, he has to say something. He can't help it. He can't. It's a habit. He's been doing it for 50 years. He can't help it. It's just an ongoing aspect of their existence. He wasn't like that, alayhi salatu wasalam. ولا متفحشا. You couldn't, and nor could you force him to be like that. You couldn't push him to be that way. Meaning, even if you brought even if circumstantially you were speaking, he wasn't like that, alayhi salatu wasalam. In general, it wasn't his character, and that's important because we are extremely sexually driven as men, specifically, and probably as women as well. But as men specifically, we're extremely sexually driven. It's a part of our built. Some people say we can't even help it, but he could help it, alayhi salatu wasalam. And if he could help it, then so can you. See, that's the point. You see, the argument that is made today psychologically is that men can't help it. And I say, no, boys can't help it. Boys can't help it. Men can help it. Because the Prophet ﷺ could. Because لم يكن رسول الله فاحشا ولا متفحشا. She's his wife. Men are mostly fahish and mutafahhish around their wives. Like mostly they enjoy doing it that way. It's fun. It's fun to say something to annoy her about the fact that you're attracted to others, or that there's someone who looks good around you. This is a part of manhood, of being married. He wasn't like that around her. So she didn't feel that way in his presence. He never showed that part of himself, alayhi salatu. This is extremely interesting, because if a man described him that way, that would be one thing. But for his wife whom those who don't believe in him, alayhi salatu wasalam, tend to accuse him for marrying. Those who don't believe in him tend to use his marriage of her to accuse him of exactly this. And she's the one who comes out and says he was not fahish or mutafahsh, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Does that make sense? Like when they want to accuse him of being sexually driven, they say, look, he married Aisha. Well, Aisha is the one who came out and said, 10, 15 years after he passed away, he was not fahish nor mutafahsh. He wasn't like that. He was not like that at all. He was extremely, extremely respectful. And he controlled himself, and he never behaved that way, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will present to us his beauty and his purity through the door that others will use to disrespect him, alayhi salatu wasalam, for those who want to learn about him. وَلَا صَخَابًا فِي الْأَسْوَاقِ. And he's not someone who would go around in public spaces, escalating situations, making noise, fighting over bargains, causing... No, he wasn't like that, alayhi salatu wasalam. He wasn't that type of person. وَلَا يجزي بالسيئة. And if you ever mistreated him or disrespected him or was unkind to him, he would never respond equally. He would never respond in a way that takes back what, no. If you perform a sayyi'ah to him, if you deal a sayyi'ah to Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he does not, you don't get a sayyi'ah back. He will take it, process it, and give it back. يعفو ويصفح. And he will give back pardoning and forgiving and love and ease. You can throw at him your evil. You can throw at him your garbage. He will take it, process it, and turn it into something beautiful and give it back to you. Alayhi salatu wasalam. ولكن يعفو ويصفح. This is very difficult, obviously. But this is how she remembers him, radiallahu anha. She's speaking to people, to men around her, students of hers, saying, yeah, I know he wasn't like that. You guys seem to comment a lot. You seem to be very sexually driven in every word and every joke. He wasn't like that. You're loud in places. He wasn't like that. And whenever people come in his face, see, aren't these the three, toxic masculinity? Forgive me for the usage of this woke phrase, but it's a reasonable one. Masculinity, there's a beautiful aspect of it, and there's a toxic aspect of it. Just like everything, feminism, there's a beautiful aspect, and there's a toxic feminism as well. Everything has toxicity to it. Yeah, everything. And when you think about masculinity, it's when the man has no control over his sexual urges or his sexual speech or his sexual behaviors. When they're extremely loud and they're very difficult and they're always causing a ruckus. And when they are aggressive, when you say something, they respond aggressively, they're all ready for a fight. This is what, if you think of a man you don't want to be around, you don't want to be around something like that. Alayhi salatu wasalam was strong, was brave, was the epitome of manhood, yet he was not like that. He did not speak sexually, he did not behave sexually. He was not loud in public spaces, causing ruckus and escalating situations, and he was not in your face. He would forgive and he would pardon, he would let things go. فصلوا عليه الصلاة والسلام. يروي الإمام الترمذي في جامعه بسند صحيح عن عائشة أم المؤمنين رضي الله عنها قالت لم يكن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم فاحشا ولا متفحشا ولا صخابا في الأسواق ولا يجزي بالسيئة ولكن يعفو ويصفح. صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله وسلم وبارك وعظم على نبينا وحبيبنا وقرة